Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next podcast on why the IIUSA PAC matters. I am your host, Peter Helland, and I'm joined today by Mr. Robert Kraft, who, in addition to being the chairman and CEO of First Pathway Partners, also holds the esteemed position of chairman of the IIUSA Political Action Committee, or the PAC, and the president emeritus role for IIUSA's board of directors. IIUSA stands as the foremost national trade association devoted to the EB5 Regional Center program. And Mr. Kraft's exceptional commitment to the EB5 industry is evidenced by his remarkable service, having dedicated himself to 6 consecutive terms as president of the board of directors after 4 years as a board member. Now, a little bit about IIUSA. IIUSA helps to educate the general public and government about the many benefits of regional center collaboration through the EB5 investment program to help stimulate economic development and job growth in the United States. They advance and maintain regional center industry standards, best practices, and ethical transparency, and they serve as a strong, unified voice for permanent reauthorization and improvement of the EB5 Regional Center program to enhance regional center activities. In this podcast, we're going to talk about a little bit more about IIUSA, what the PAC is, why it's important, and the real-world impact that it has for the EB5 visa program. So thank you for joining us, and thank you, Bob, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Thanks for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course. So why don't we first talk about what the IIUSA PAC is? Maybe you can just give a high level overview to begin, and we can go from there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so as Peter mentioned, I've been involved with IIUSA in some form or fashion since 2008, and at that time, the industry was really just starting to develop. And IIUSA was formed to bring together practitioners, regional centers, attorneys, developers, people from overseas that were interested in the program, but it was, just in its early infancy. As we've evolved over these many years, it's been 18 years, the association has become the single most important voice in the EB5 arena. Most recently, the RIA reauthorization after a 1-year suspension of the program was really the result of IIUSA, and we are the only true consistent voice supporting regional center interests and investor interests, and we're responsible for driving the changes which protected the investor and gave us a 5-year reauthorization. During those early years, the activity on Capitol Hill, which is obviously critical because the politicians make the laws, we carried the banner of IIUSA proudly, and we made contributions as individuals, not as IIUSA, to various offices and established good relationships, enough so that we were able to gain the reauthorization in 2022 and improve the program dramatically against some pretty strong voices at the time. During that period, we realized that a lot of times when you make a contribution directly to a politician, which is what we've been doing for years, that office really isn't sure whether or not it's from IIUSA or an individual. So the message kind of gets lost a little bit that the money was really contributed to support IIUSA and the EB5 program. So our chief lobbyist, George McElwee, recommended 3 years ago that the board establish a political action committee which would organize and formalize fundraising activities on behalf of IIUSA. So when a contribution comes from the PAC to a political office, it's clearly in support of EB5. And it gets recorded as such within that office, and the accepting office understands that they're aligned with the EB5 IIUSA objectives. So it's a much stronger message. It takes a little work, certainly, to raise funds. These funds have to be from individuals. They cannot be from companies. There are a couple steps that have to be gone through to contribute. But, our message has been all along that if you believe in the industry, you're making your livelihood from the industry, then the investment to the PAC is really an investment in yourself. It's an investment in your livelihood to help us protect that which we all do. And it also lines up with our support for high integrity, ethic reform, all the educational things that we're all about as an organization. And it's really, really critical to support our efforts going forward, especially given the fact the program expires in 2027, and then there's some issues around grandfathering and different things in 2026 that we are advocating for a permanent extension, more visas, and a continuation of the grandfathering clause. And hopefully, through the efforts of the PAC and the money that's been raised over the last 3 years, money talks, and we have been able to build our coffers, but we need more and more participation throughout the industry and an understanding of how critically important the PAC is in terms of being able to deliver a unified message on Capitol Hill to the lawmakers that are critical to support the program. And this is a bipartisan effort. The program was approved in 2022 on a bipartisan basis, and it just gives us a little more juice, if you will, to get the message across to those lawmakers that we depend upon to do the right thing and expand the program to support the country's interest in economic development, job growth, and to protect the investors at the same time.
Yeah, that's an excellent answer. And maybe we can just touch a little bit more on why um, legislators should support this program, and why individuals should support the legislators supporting the program. And maybe you could dive a little bit more into the future hopes or the future improvements that the PAC will hopefully help bring about in the next round of reauthorization.
Well, one of the things the association did last year, which I was very proud of, was to redo their economic analysis of the true impact of EB5 with respect to the country since its inception. And we went back, I believe it was 6, 7 years, and looked at really the economic impact of the program and the job creation, et cetera, because we had grossly understated the impact for years. And that goes back to, we were just kind of getting started and we were trying to be conservative as an industry. But we realized that the government actually had some of its own statistics. The Bureau of Economic Advisors projects economic impact for the New Market Tax Credit Program, which is a different program run by the Treasury Department, not by USCIS. But it's basically the same thing. It's about job creation, and it's helping communities that, if not for new market tax credits, would not have economic development in their area. And they used a much more aggressive measure with respect to impact. And that got us thinking, geez, we're probably understating the true impact that EB5 has had on the United States of America and the jobs that it's created and all the good that it's done. So a study was commissioned by the association, and we found out what we suspected was that the program has had a far greater impact on the U.S. than we had been talking about, which actually helps us significantly in the halls of Congress because the impact of the program is across the country, especially now since the RIA was initiated, which has pushed much more money to rural projects and away from the big cities. So it's truly having a national impact, not a big city impact. And the legislators who represent various districts across the country need to be educated and continually re-educated, and the program needs to be re-emphasized of the importance that it has played in their district, in their states, in the case of the senators, And it's very, very significant. And we have statistics that open eyes now, which we didn't have before. And people are beginning to realize, wow, this program is huge. So with respect to Washington, D.C. and the House of Representatives and the Senate, they're beginning to understand through the efforts of IIUSA, many, many meetings, many press articles which have been written that's being picked up by the media, that this program is truly a game changer in many communities. And the program is paid for by the investors. USCIS, there's no cost to the government, it's self-funding, and is creating hundreds and hundreds of thousands of jobs across the country and driving billions and billions of dollars of economic development. I mean, how good is that? And the people that come in are heavily vetted. They go through a very lengthy process. They're the best of the best. And then once they come into the country, which we didn't even put into the calculation for economic impact, they buy cars, they send their kids to schools, they start businesses, et cetera, et cetera. So the program lines up perfectly with the administration's focus right now to invest in America. There's a big push to bring dollars into the United States, grow the economy, to make the country better. And EB-5 program is a layup, in my opinion. We're just now doing a better job of delivering that message, but that message, to deliver it, takes money. And that's where the PAC comes in. So individuals who are in the industry can participate and help us significantly to protect the businesses that they're in. So it's kind of an investment in yourself, but it goes under the banner of IIUSA EB5 PAC, and that's the money that's delivered into these offices, and is clearly marked so that the office understands this is coming from EB5. Oh yeah, EB5. Oh my goodness, that's a incredibly strong program. And as I said a couple times already, it has bipartisan support. I mean, who wouldn't get behind something that creates jobs in their communities and brings money into their communities? So money is an important part of the whole thing. So we're going to be more aggressive as we're coming up on the reauthorization to raise money, so to make sure that we don't miss this opportunity to make this a permanent program. One of the things that was very encouraging in the June spending bill was that the government made the new market tax credit program a permanent part of the story or the picture. That had been a kind of a 5-year, every 5 years they would revisit, renew it. And that's been a huge driver of economic growth. And we feel very strongly that we're at a very, very good point right now to ride on that. That sends a message that the administration is interested in economic development. And they saw the new market tax credit program as very beneficial to communities across the United States. The EB-5 program is certainly beneficial to communities across the United States. So why not do the same thing? Let's make it permanent. Let's eliminate the concern every 5 years that we're going to have a program or not. Let's make sure that the grandfathering clause is protected in this current bill. And then going forward, that would be part of the permanent bill. And then let's also talk about increasing the total impact of the program by either changing the interpretation of derivatives, so you expand the number of investments that are possible, or take some visas from other categories and increase the program, because there's an insatiable appetite right now around the world to come to the United States. We have an opportunity to really move the country forward with the program and be an important part of the economic growth in the United States, which again is the focus of this administration.
But we can only do that with collective participation in the industry.
That's correct. And a couple of points on the PAC. So we have a good participation rate right now, but it's not nearly as strong as it needs to be. So for those that are listening that don't understand the ins and outs of the Political Action Committee, there's a document that's available on the IIUSA website that if your company is not signed up to be talked to about specifics of the PAC, it's a real simple thing. Just sign the document. You can do it electronically by the website. It gives us authorization to then explain the full program. Once that's done, then people can make contributions, and that has to be a personal contribution. It cannot be the company, which is a distinction with these PACs. It can be husband, wife. There's a limit on how much you can contribute on an annual basis. It's 5,000 per partnership family. So your significant other or your partner, you can each contribute 5,000, but that's it for the 12-month period, which starts in January. If it's $25, $50, $100, that's fine too. Also, members of the company can make contributions. So again, for employers, owners of regional centers, owners of law firms, et cetera, developers, economic business plan writers, that type of thing. If you're active in the EB5 business and you want it to continue, why wouldn't you invest in yourself? Because that's really what we're asking you to do. Invest in the PAC. You're making an investment in yourself, and all the employees of your company are going to be affected by what happens over the next couple of years here. So the more support we get financially, the better able we will be to move the ball forward. We feel really good about where we are right now. IIUSA is the only and the number one voice representing the industry. The other people that got into the business on an association basis, they're kind of nibbling around the edges or they've gone away. And we have incredible credibility on the Hill because of the way we managed through the shutdown of the program. We continued believing in the right things, promoting the right things. We did not waver in any way in our support from Senator Grassley and Senator Leahy. What they wanted to accomplish has been accomplished, and there's been a huge movement of money throughout the country into rural projects, which was one of the main objectives of the program, and it's spread it across the country. So, from an integrity standpoint, the program is running very smoothly. And some of the people that got into the program early on that really didn't understand before the IRA the complexity of the program and made mistakes, which appeared in some cases to be fraud, et cetera, et cetera. They're just people that really didn't know in many cases how complex the program is. It's not an easy program. But for those that are committed to the category and to the EB5 industry and have worked hard at it, we need to protect what we have, and we need to expand it for the good of everyone in the industry, including the investors from overseas.
So thank you, Bob, for that. And as mentioned, the solicitation form will be included in the description of this video so that you can stay up to date with all the IIUSA progress and PAC progress, and that you can get involved. You can get involved because the collective might of the industry, as Bob talked about, has elicited nothing but positivity for much of the country, and we look forward to continuing to contribute to that positivity.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, so we have an outstanding board of directors on the PAC. The PAC reports to the board of directors of IIUSA, so everything we do is in concert, coordinated with the IIUSA board. We also have a terrific leadership group in Aaron Grau and George McElwee, whose lobbying firm represents IIUSA, and great support from Ashley Casey at IIUSA. And we will be aggressively marketing the program to the membership of this organization, asking for people to first sign the sign-up forms if they haven't really already done it, and then promoting the importance of this program. So this video is important, just kind of the beginning of a more concentrated, proactive push to get more people involved. We've talked about the program at all the IIUSA annual meetings over the last couple of years, and we've had good success in signing people up, but we're kind of coming up on crunch time now, so we need to pick it up.
All right. Well, thank you, Bob. Thank you for joining me. And thank all of you for listening as we approach reauthorization and begin to make our push. So, Bob, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll use that famous Jerry Maguire quote, "Help me to help you. Send money."
All right. Well, on that note, we will end it here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Peter.